This is going to be a new genre of video that I'm pioneering, the outside vlog. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's called a vlog that people do while they're outside. Welcome to my chair. You're in my chair now. Welcome to Star's chair. Um, I think from now on I'd prefer to do videos outside because, like, when I compare the content that I've made, just in terms of like the lighting of it, to the content that I make indoors, or just like the way that it looks, it's always way better when I do it outside. I keep trying to get a picture of this cat, and every single time he just does this. I keep trying to get a picture. I might just have to take video of him. It's like every time I try to take a picture of this cat, all he does is just like move his head around. You can't get a clear picture of him when all he does is move his head around. He's not going to move. Yeah, so basically what I was saying is that I think we may be doing all outside videos all the time now. Because there's a couple of different genres of videos I have on my channel. I have the videos where it's just an image over me talking into my microphone. I have the videos where it's just gameplay footage, usually CSGO, and then I'm just talking over that. I have the written videos, which the written videos tend to vary in style a lot. Sometimes it is just gameplay footage, sometimes it's anime clips. With the more narrative-centric written videos, those tend to just have like whatever I can put on screen. So those are a different style. And, you know, that's sort of the point of it, is to try and like form a storyline around the way that they're edited and around the way that they're spoken, because usually I'll have images in mind as I'm writing the script, so it's easier to place you know, a picturesque story over those things. And then you have the videos that are just me walking around my room talking, you know? And I think that gets boring over time, of just having so many videos of just that, just me walking around my room talking. And I need to do something about that. I need to have more interesting imagery in the content, because when I think of, you know, the best stuff that I've made, or the most interesting stuff that I've made, it's pretty much always been stuff that has more interesting editing, that, you know, goes beyond the setting that I normally go into. Look at this guy. He's just like, he's just rubbing his head against my coat. What a nice lad. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking I need to go beyond the pale. He's trying to kiss me, but my mask is on. I'm sorry, cat, you have coronavirus. So I need to go beyond. And I don't really know where I could go and film right now, because, again, I mean, all of us know what's going on right now. Not that I particularly care that much. It's just that, you know, people in my town have been acting weird. And it's not like there's anything particularly interesting to even film here anyway. So I don't know. Where should I go? I mean, I don't really have any money to go anywhere particularly interesting either. But I feel like I need to go somewhere. It's getting to be that time of year. I want to do something. I want to record something in a different space. I don't like just over and over and over again having the same setting, you know, having the same, you know, I don't like it. We gotta change things up, or else I'll get stagnant like every YouTuber that exists. I don't want to be every YouTuber that exists. This is anti-content. That's the whole idea of this channel, is to, and I've been calling myself anti-content for over 2 years now, is to actively go against the paradigms that are in place on YouTube, to make whatever, just to make whatever I want, to actively go against what's in place, as, you know, as as standard or good. And a lot of the current standards I find to be incredibly mediocre. I think a lot of the common practices on YouTube, the way that content is made, is way too the same. Everything is the same on this platform. And I don't want it to be like that. I want all of my videos to be different from one another on some level. And I think in order to do that, I need to be getting out of the house more. I need to be recording out here. So, yeah, fuck the old way of doing things. The old way wasn't working right, so we had to change it ourselves. I think we're kind of getting to that time of year where I start to want to live in a different place, or go see different things, be a different thing. I often get this way every couple of years. You know, it may seem as if it was very traumatic to have to move to all of those different houses, and it was, but that was more for the circumstances that surrounded the moving than the actual moving itself. Because I really liked moving. The idea of moving, actually doing a lot of it, it was just sort of the amount of, essentially abuse that I was receiving from my mom at the time, and the dire financial circumstances that we existed in, and all of the other external factors that were going on alongside the moving that made the moving really difficult. But moving in itself was something that really excited me, and there were a lot of aspects of it that I did like, because for my whole life I've wanted to move places. I've wanted to go everywhere and do things. And I would constantly fantasize as a kid about living in a different house, or about being able to travel to different houses every single year. And I look at this house that I've been living in since November of 2018, and I begin to think that I've been living here too long. It's not that I dislike this place necessarily, but I've gotten to that point in the year where I start thinking about, okay, I've been here too long now, where I have to go somewhere else now. And I know it's going to be a while until I can do that, at the very least until this pandemic is over. But that thought has been coursing through my head a lot. And again, it's by no fault of this specific environment. This specific environment's great. But that's the way that I think about things, is always in terms of how can we move forward. I don't like sitting around for too long. I don't like being in the same place, being the same person, or being in the same mindset, because it's too permanent. That's why I often get haircuts and things like that. That's why you often see me jump into totally new philosophical ideas than I previously had. That's why you often see like random ass experimental videos that are not necessarily adhering to any sort of style that I've built up to this point, because I'm constantly trying to change that emotional stimuli associated with who I am, quote unquote, or the lack thereof. And so I like being in different moods. I like feeling a large variety of emotions. And partly what that has to do with is the place that you're in. Like, what is a vibe if not the reaction that you're having to the collective stimuli that's occurring around you? The sounds, the visuals, the place you're in, what that place means, the culture of that place, all of these things sort of culminating together to create an overall feeling. And that feeling is always going to be slightly different. There's always going to be specifics that make that feeling distinct from another feeling. And I'm constantly chasing these different feelings. Even the smallest thing can change how I'm feeling in the moment, and can change the whole visual aesthetic of what it is that I'm doing, the whole overall feeling of what it is that I'm doing. And I think a lot in terms of those feelings. That's why I often refer to language as a sort of process of translation, is because my thoughts are so based in those internal feelings, that internal world, and how intensely I react to different sets of stimuli, different vibes, different aesthetics, that it can often be a struggle for me to put exactly how it is that I'm feeling into words, especially because how you're feeling is constantly changing. You're never going to be able to replicate the exact same feeling. Even if a feeling is incredibly similar, you're always going to be a different person today than you were yesterday. And so, by trying to replicate what it was you were feeling yesterday with a similar situation, it's always going to be tainted by the fact that you were doing it. It's always going to be slightly that much more unnatural, that much more inauthentic, because not only are you a different person now, you're also trying to attempt to make it real, when in reality all you can do is just let it happen. And I like that. I like the fact that human beings are so constructive, that like we're like a big ball of Play-Doh, that we're simultaneously adhering to our environment and also shaping it. And I think that's really cool. I think that constant change that human beings undergo is a really beautiful thing. And I wouldn't be able to live without it, or else I would just get incredibly bored and go insane. So around this time of year, I start having that thought. I start having that thought of, where everybody going? Where's Star going? I don't know, but I know I want to be somewhere different at this point. I want to go on new adventures, live in a new place. That's the feeling I'm getting, and it's going to be a while until I can do that. But that's the feeling that I'm getting. It's interesting to me how the place you're in can influence the ideas that you have. So there's so many videos that I have on this channel that were a direct product of the environment that I was in at the time. The feelings elicited by the weather, the feelings elicited by the room I was in, it's just the camera angles that I was able to make up by being in that room. The thoughts I was having from being in that place. I mean, something as simple as, seeing snow come out during the night sky, as you're walking through a specific setting in a town. I mean, I know there are thoughts that I would have never had without walking around in the park in Virginia, the big, big park that they had in the middle of the city that I was living in. I would walk there oftentimes at nighttime when the park was closed, when no one was supposed to be there. And I might have had a bottle of wine with me that I had taken out of the fridge, out of the shelter that I was living in. Or I had some of my mom's diazepam, and I'd take them together. And even when I was sober, though, even being not sober, that specific set of conditions of being in that park at nighttime, looking out at the moon, getting on the swing set, walking on the trail, looking at the big water fountain in the middle of the body of water there. It was such a specific scene that scene elicited specific emotions. The way I came to that park, the things I did in that park, elicited specific emotions that only that environment, or at least that type of environment, could elicit. And it was all interconnected with one another. That those ideas I had were sort of to do with the person who I was at the time, and also where I was at the time. And in that sense, that change in environment also changes the content, also changes the ideas, also changes who you are. So the real question is, who am I going to be next? So yeah, basically what I'm getting at here is that I want to do something else. I want to go somewhere. I want to be somebody. I don't really know what that is or what that entails, but I think the content needs to evolve, because sort of everything about the way that I think and about the way that I do things tends to be revolved around these videos, making more of these videos. This is really most of what I think about, besides, I guess, like anime, because all I've been doing is just obsessively watching anime. But
I mean, that's a different story for a different day, I suppose. I don't know what to do, because like if you watch my videos for long enough, you can sort of feel that not that I'm running out of ideas per se, but there's something that needs to be added to the mix. There's something just to add a little bit more spice to the content that needs to happen, and I don't know what that means or what that is. Maybe I have like a really insane trip and it completely recontextualizes my understanding of how these videos work. Whatever it is, it better happen soon because um, I want to evolve.